Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champs? My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always. Poppin' Rick.
What's going on?
We got show number 2 for you this week. I'm getting more and more excited because today, if you're watching this obviously on Thursday, or if we posted earlier, I don't know, but there's football, literally real life, honest to God, fantasy football, related football.
It's real games that
Real
matter.
games. Yeah. You got your DFS lineups coming out.
Oh yeah, dude. You know I'm on that.
You think I can win $7,000? That's my goal this year. Just one time.
If you win $7,000, you can give me half that, right?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, dude.
I'll use it to pay off everything I have.
Yeah.
So there's that. But anyway, so tonight or today or whenever you're listening to this, we're going to do a Thursday night preview show, break down each team, discuss the pluses and minuses of starting that particular player for the week, discuss some harder decisions that you may have to make, and just talk about overall the Thursday night football game as a whole. Before we do that, though, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcast platforms, please leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like, and comment down below any questions you have pertaining to some starts and sits for Thursday Night Football, and we'll get back to you. So we are going to basically go through each team and discuss things. But, Rick, can you quickly look up the over-under for this game?
Sure, I can look that up for you, but I just got to give me 1 second to look it up.
Yeah.
Rams, Bills, over, under.
It's always good to have
It's 53 points right now.
Oh, holy mackerel. That seems low.
Yeah.
I'll take the
It seems low, but it's pretty high scoring. I think that's in the top 5. I can actually pull up all of the over-unders and double check, yeah.
So, typically if you're in the 50s to 60s, you are in a pretty high-scoring affair. I actually would take the over on that because I 1,000% believe there's going to be more scoring in this game.
I might take the over on that too, yeah.
So, anyway, we're going to start with the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, we established it's a high-scoring affair on Thursday night, most likely. Both defenses really don't look great. I want to pull up the strength of schedule for both teams.
It's the 4th highest over-under of the week.
4th highest over-under.
Yeah.
So for the different positions, the strength of schedule for week 1, Buffalo has an easy matchup, and so does the Los Angeles Rams.
High scoring.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a high scoring game. But we'll start off analyzing the Buffalo Bills and talking a little bit about, we'll start with the Bills and then we'll move to the Rams. But to start off with the Bills, there's no question that Josh Allen is starting in your lineup. That's not even a question.
Yeah, Josh Allen automatic.
Unless you have
QB1.
Unless you're like really concerned, then you want to start Case Keenum.
Hey, who should I start? Kirk Cousins or Josh Allen?
Definitely Kirk's
got a better matchup, but I don't know Josh Allen. I don't really trust him on a Thursday matchup.
That's totally a question that you would get on TikTok.
It probably is. Somebody would say he doesn't like Thursday games.
Josh Allen or Kirk Cousins? I'm not really sure.
You
know what I will say? This is one of those weird games in the year because typically Thursday night football comes around and your players are playing on a short week, and it kind of restricts the upside of fantasy players because they're usually low scoring matchups. There's not really like having a guy on Thursday night is like good because you want to watch football, but it's bad because it's like that guy probably isn't going to have the best game of his life. Yeah. Unless your name is Aaron Jones and you score 5 touchdowns in one game. But the Thursday night football game to start the season, all these guys are rested. There's no short week. Like, they're fine. Like, this is game one. So You can treat these guys as totally normal. But yes, obviously start Josh Allen. What is your expectation for Josh Allen here in week 1?
I expect a top 5 performance.
Yeah, me too.
He's the QB1 for drafts.
Mm-hmm.
He's at least top 2, top 3, I think, in consensus. I think he's QB2 right now.
Yep.
So you drafted Josh Allen probably in the 2nd or 3rd round. You're expecting top 5 performance pretty much every single week. There's no exceptions, even in tough matchups.
And the good thing about this matchup is that both these teams are very good. This probably should have been the Super Bowl.
If we're being honest.
It probably should have been the Super Bowl matchup, but it was not. But it is a good performance. Both these teams are going to fight for a win, and I think that Josh Allen is going to have to score. This isn't going to be like a blow the team out by the second quarter situation. I mean, at least I don't think it's going to be. I would be shocked.
No, I don't think it will.
But so Josh Allen, great start. Definitely expecting a top 5 performance. We have 2 running backs here to discuss. Devin Singletary going into this week, going up against the Los Angeles Rams rushing attack. What are you doing with Singletary for week 1?
I'm not starting Devin Singletary.
Unless you absolutely
I know it could be a high-scoring game. Honestly, he could get like a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. It's also going to be a very pass-heavy game.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't start Devin Singletary unless obviously you have to. We know in some cases, like in our league, Devin Singletary is somebody's RB2. So if he's your RB2 and you drafted him to be your RB2, then you got to start him. But there's just other guys that your chances are he's on your bench and you're considering him for your flex. I think I'd go with other options than Devin Singletary.
Yeah,
he's not my favorite.
In last year, essentially, in 2021, the Los Angeles Rams gave up 16 points a game to the entire running back position. The best team in the league was at 14.
Oh, so they're good against the run.
Yeah, they're pretty good against the run. Nothing changed for them realistically.
The Bills are going to throw I think the Bills might throw the ball like 40 times this week.
Yeah, I wouldn't start Singletary. They're like in a situation where there's a lot of offensive opportunity.
I could definitely see a touchdown.
There could be a touchdown. There could be,
and it'll save his week.
But there's also questions surrounding the usage of the guy that we're going to talk about next, which is James Cook. And, if he is utilized in the pass catching game, which a lot of people anticipate, then Singletary's just capped to groundwork. And if that's the case, then there really is no upside for week 1, unless you legitimately did 0 running back and your only option is to start Devin Singletary week 1 because you don't have any running backs.
Yep.
But if you're sitting there discussing whether or not you should put him as your flex or you're having a discussion, I would sit him this week against the Los Angeles Rams. With that being said, for James Cook, if he does assume, personally, I'm not starting either running back, just because of the situation with the Rams defense, where they're very good at stopping the run and very good at stopping opposing running backs from scoring a lot of fantasy points. James Cook does provide pass catching upside, but Josh Allen doesn't like to throw it to the running back position. For me, I want to see how James Cook is utilized, what role he's placed in the Buffalo Bills offense, and if they do want to utilize him in a larger extent before I even think about putting him in my starting lineup. So I wouldn't play James Cook this week either, but there's no but. Don't play James Cook.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same in the sense of I want to see him play. I want to see how he gets utilized because we really don't know. There hasn't been a whole ton of reports. From what I've seen, Singletary is the guy, at least to start the season. And then James Cook is going to be like the third down pass catching back. But as you said, Josh Allen doesn't really throw to the running back position a lot. Instead of a dump off, he's going to run for 10 yards instead. So when he gets in those situations, usually. I don't really know. If I had to start one guy, I would start Singletary over James Cook just because I truly do not know how the Bills are going to utilize him. He's more of a question mark. But I could see James Cook outscoring Singletary. It's a possibility. Neither guy I want to really start. But if I had to pick one, I would choose Singletary over James Cook. But they're both no's for me.
Okay, sounds
we
good.
skip over Matt Stafford too. I don't feel like we talked about Allen, but we didn't
Oh, we're going team by team.
Going team by team.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
never mind that.
All right, so the wide receiver position, I love the little analytics here that the player profiler gives you. The Bills run 3 wide receiver sets 71% of the time. Interesting.
Wow, that is interesting.
So you're going to see Stefon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and Isaiah McKenzie on the field a lot. There's conversations about whether it's Isaiah McKenzie or Jamison Crowder. Is Crowder hurt? I've been hearing a lot about Isaiah McKenzie.
He's hurt his whole career.
Yeah, no, he's fine. So,
but McKenzie, I think on the official depth chart, McKenzie is the starter over Jamison Crowder.
Okay, all right. So essentially, McKenzie will play the slot, and so will Jamison Crowder probably coming in to spell McKenzie. Neither of these guys I want to start for week 1.
No, gosh, no. I would.
Diggs is obviously in the starting lineup.
Yeah,
you have to start him. The question here is, Gabe Davis was a 6th round pick, 7th round pick for a lot of people, and this game is obviously a good matchup for him. But do you want to throw Gabriel Davis out on the field week 1 and buy into all your hopes and dreams that he's really, really good, or do you want to reserve that, hold him on your bench, and wait? That's the question that you have to kind of answer here.
Yeah, I think if you can hold him on your bench and wait, go ahead. But I'm not really super high on Gabe Davis this year, but I am okay with starting him this week because I do think it is a high-scoring game. I do think the Bills throw the ball a lot, and Davis is going to be the second or third guy for this game. The Rams, obviously, outside of Jalen Ramsey, don't have a ton in the secondary.
Yeah.
So Gabe Davis could take advantage of that in a game that, we could see realistically 30-something or 30-something to 30-something, like a 34-38 type of game. Like it could be a very high scoring game. And if that happens, Gabe Davis will have a good game. Obviously, there are some concerns. He could lay an egg, or not a full egg, but have like a 5-6 point week. And really disappoint you. But
is a full egg a 0?
Yeah, a full egg is a full egg. 0.
So that's what we're going to call it this year. If you expect a guy to score 0 fantasy points, they are going to get a
Gabe Davis won't get 0 points, but he could disappoint. I think I would start him.
I'm gonna say Khalil Shakir is gonna put up a full egg.
Yeah, there you go. I agree. I would start him at your flex.
Okay.
If you drafted him to be so. But there are guys that I would rather have. Like, for example, in a league I'm in, a dynasty league, I have Gabe Davis and I have Brandon Cooks. And right now, in my last flex spot, I'm starting Brandon Cooks over Gabe Davis. So if that gives you kind of an example of the range where I view Gabe Davis, probably like a low end wide receiver 2, high end wide receiver 3, which again, you're probably starting that at your flex, especially in PPR leagues.
Yeah,
I think he's a good flex option. But if your team's pretty stacked and you're debating about starting him and you got other options, go with those other options.
I was talking about pre-show to Rick about Mike Williams, and I feel like Gabe Davis kind of reminds me a little bit of Mike Williams, where
he is.
Diggs is going to be, not in terms of play style, but Diggs is going to be the consistent, heavily targeted, good receiver that, is going to be a top 5 receiver pretty much, you would hope, on a week-to-week basis, unless there's a really difficult matchup. Gabe Davis is one of those guys that could pop 2 touchdowns and 100 yards and blow up, or he could just completely crap himself and
it's
go full egg.
I think it's kind of like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams 2 years ago when Keenan Allen was more in his prime.
Yeah.
Because Diggs, at least right now, Diggs is a better version of Keenan Allen, and then Davis is a worse version of Mike Williams. But they both play like similar styles, and they put up similar fantasy numbers.
Yeah.
Gabe Davis, as you said, is kind of the inconsistent guy. So is Mike Williams, but those boomer bust guys. And then Allen and Diggs are very consistent PPR machines. Get targeted heavy, get a lot of receptions. But yeah, Mike Williams is the better version.
I will say. So I agree with Rick. I think you're fine to roll him out this week.
Yeah.
If you're trying to project the boom weeks, this would be one of them. I think, getting Gabe Davis in your lineup and getting a boom is obviously good. Now, there could be, just a generic performance, or there could be a 5-6 point week where you just get pooped on and you just get a bad performance, and that happens. But
right.
I think if you wanted to project a big week for Gabe Davis, week 1 against the Los Angeles Rams, would be it. Like, if he's going to break out and have a great season, and Rick and I are going to be dead wrong on Gabe Davis, it'll happen this week.
It'll start Thursday.
It'll start Thursday. So
I will ask you totally unbiased question here. Would you start Brandon Cooks or Gabe Davis?
I would probably start Gabe Davis.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
I don't like it, but yeah,
okay.
I think that this is a hell of a lot more.
It's definitely
entertaining than what you would have to watch with Houston, and the upside, just from a fantasy perspective, the upside of that Gabe Davis provides for week 1 is higher to me than what Brandon Cooks will provide.
Yeah, his upside is for sure higher, but his floor is also
way lower. Like, you're gonna get
Brandon Cooks.
You're gonna get at least 10 points with Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, he's getting no worse than 10 points.
And then quickly, final guys. We have Dawson Knox. If you drafted him, you're rolling him out. You don't have a choice. So unless you drafted like Kyle Pitts and then
dual
Dawson Knox and like, I don't know. So if you got strange questions like that, throw them in the comments and we'll answer them. But Dawson Knox, I'm rolling out week 1.
No arguments there.
Let's move on to the Los Angeles Rams, Super Bowl champions, gonna get their rings. Oh, they probably already got them.
Do they?
The
or
NBA
do they
is like the only sport that drops the flag and then gives the rings on the same night.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they just do the banner.
So they're just going to do the banner. Rams finally winning a Super Bowl, capping it off
after years of losing.
So they'll be celebrated, and they'll also have a Thursday night football game where they can play. Matt Stafford, week 1. What are you doing with Matt Stafford, Rick?
Long term, I'm for sure scared about the elbow. I didn't really want to. I kind of in the middle of summer, I was pretty much in on Stafford, and then I kind of changed my tune by August. That elbow definitely does scare me. But for this week, he's playing. They're going to be juiced up, and as we've said multiple times, this is going to be a high scoring game. So I think if you have Matt Stafford and you got two guys who are in the same range, like Matt Stafford or Kirk Cousins, I would start Matt Stafford this week based on the matchup. The Bills have a pretty good defense when they're healthy, but they are not 100% this week. Obviously, we mentioned Tre'Davious White. You said the starting safety is out as well. So there are some holes in that secondary. And, I could see, I think last year on opening day, Matt Stafford, they took a lot of big shots. Van Jefferson had like an 80-yard touchdown. That was a big Cooper Kupp game, his first of many. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sean McVay tries to start off with some fireworks early on. So I think this will be a good game for Stafford. I don't expect a top 5 performance. But low end, QB1, he could be I expect him to be a top 12 guy this week and startable.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Matt Stafford, if you drafted him and you probably drafted him as your QB1, I would say you got to roll him out week 1.
Or if he's your QB1A, 1B, he's got a good matchup. So.
I think it's a good matchup. But there is concerns like obviously the Buffalo Bills last year. If you look at the numbers, they gave 12 fantasy points a game to the quarterback position, which is the lowest in all of fantasy football. So, but you also have the flip side of it where there's some serious members of their secondary who are not going to play. So, and Matt Stafford, coming off a Super Bowl victory, like I think this is this is a game I would start Matt Stafford and be okay with it. But as soon as the Bills start getting those guys back, I'm more nervous about the Bills' defense.
Yeah, the Bills have a good defense. Yeah, but a little bit banged up to start the season.
So, but I agree. I would start Matt Stafford. Moving into the running back position, Cam Akers is a good go for week 1, I believe. And then Darrell Henderson is also a go, right?
Yep.
All right, so let's just, have a group conversation about this. Cam Akers, you drafted him probably in the top 5 rounds. You got to start him.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Go ahead.
As someone who drafted Cam Akers this weekend, I don't feel great about it. I do not feel great about it.
That's why I let you have Cam Akers and I got Travis Etienne.
Yeah, I definitely in PPR.
Although Cam Akers is on a hell of a better offense.
He is. Akers does have a lot of upside, but just week 1, I think it's, again, both teams are going to throw the ball a lot, and I also think it's going to be close to a split with him and Henderson. So I'm just hoping for a touchdown. That's it. But yeah, if you
I think,
drafted
honestly,
Akers, he's probably your RB2, so you're starting him.
Yeah, so you got to start him. I think if you're concerned about Akers, you shouldn't be. He'll be fine. A lot of what the Rams do offensively, it's relied upon on the run game. So
Play action.
Yeah, the play action, establishing the run, opening things up for Matt Stafford, like that's what they want to do. So Cam Akers will get work on the ground. I'm not concerned about that. What I am concerned about is Darrell Henderson getting involved in some way. Obviously, Darrell Henderson's not a guy you want to start. Don't ask any questions about Darrell Henderson. Don't start him. But what kind of workload do you think Darrell Henderson's going to get? Is this going to be a split between him and Akers, similar to what what's his name has been talking about? Sean McVay has been talking about pretty much all camp. Or do you expect Cam Akers just to get the brunt of the workload and Henderson to come in and spell him in different situations?
To be totally honest with you, I genuinely do not know. But if I had to just take an educated guess, I would say Akers gets majority of the work, but it's a close majority. It's like 60-40.
Okay.
But if that's the case, I'm not starting Henderson because it's already not a great matchup. And if he's going to get 40% of the work, I'm not really trying to start him. And plus, you probably took him in like the 10th, 11th, 12th round. So he's on your bench for a reason.
I respect Sean McVay for the many things that he does. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL, but he does like to blow smoke.
I hope you're 100% right on this.
And if that means anything, Cam Akers will probably get 25 carries.
I'm all in.
60-40 would probably be a safe guesstimation if they split.
Akers will still, even if they split, though, my point is Akers will get more touches, I think.
Yep, 100% agree. Cooper Kupp, wide receiver 1.
No, sit him.
Round draft. Yeah, sit him. First round draft selection, probably in the top 4 or 5 in your drafts. Cooper Kupp's got to be slid in your starting lineup if you did that.
He's going to have a big week 1, too, I think, against the Bills.
I agree. Allen Robinson, we talked about on Thursday. Allen Robinson is also a start. I think if there's any team I had to put money on to have 2 wide receiver 1s this year, it would be the Los Angeles Rams. And there are some concerns with the elbow for Matt Stafford, and hopefully that doesn't limit his ability to do things offensively. But I do really like Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson to both be wide receiver 1s in 2022. And I think it starts tonight or whenever you're watching the show. It starts on Thursday Night Football, and you'll start to see that. So and A-Rob was like a 5th round selection, so he's probably in your starting lineup anyway.
Yeah.
So I would start A-Rob. I don't know if you have any quandaries with that.
No, I'm very much in on A-Rob. I got him in my DFS lineup this week.
Oh, let's go, dude.
For the Thursday game.
He's already got a DFS lineup. I usually wait till Thursday, but he's on it.
We talked. We've already mentioned the Bills secondary like 4 times. But yeah, it's injured, banged up. Cooper Kupp is going to get the attention. Al Robinson is going to get some red zone work. I think they're going to look his way, try to get him involved early as he's like the new guy on the block. And with Van Jefferson questionable, could have a big week. Right now, he's the wide receiver 24 on Fantasy Pros this week. I think he could have a top 15 finish this week.
Agreed. Van Jefferson, he has been on some injury reports, and we talked about on Tuesday show or Wednesday show, the last show we did about Van Jefferson possibly not playing in this game. We're recording this a little bit earlier in the week, so just look at the practice reports and check to see if he's active or not active. But Van Jefferson has been consistently a 14th, 15th round draft selection. He has provided on certain weeks some upside, but I think, like we've said, before in this show, you drafted your lineup. You got to run with your lineup. Don't make weird decisions week 1 that you don't need to make. Van Jefferson should not be in your starting lineup. If you didn't draft him within the first 8 rounds, you shouldn't be starting them. So, Van Jefferson's out of the lineup if he plays. But what are your thoughts on Van Jefferson?
Yeah, I'm not starting Van Jefferson. Even if he plays, I will say though, if he's gonna Van Jefferson's going to have a lot of weeks this year, where he gets like 4 fantasy points, and then he'll get like a 70-yard touchdown. This could be the week he gets the 70-yard touchdown if he plays.
Oh, 1,000%. It'll be a wacky week where that happens.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. The final guy that we'll talk about is Tyler Higbee.
That's a big.
Yeah. I don't even know. Like, I don't think we talked at all about Tyler Higbee. So I'm checking draft rankings to see.
He's top 20 tight ends, I think.
21.
Okay.
He does have an easy schedule this year. That's interesting. But yeah, so Tyler Higbee, like against Buffalo, I'm not like they have some good linebackers. They have some good slot corners. So like I'm not super duper in on him for this year. Typically, if there's not a lot of options, like Bills gave up 4 points to the tight end position last year in fantasy football. So if you have Higbee and you're in, I would be out because
if
it's not worth the start.
Yeah, if you're in a 12-team league, I'm gonna assume there's 12 tight ends better than Tyler Higbee this week, so I'm out on him as well.
There will be people who are just all in.
Oh, I saw a tweet the other day saying that Tyler Higbee, like, why aren't we talking about him? He's the third receiving option on an elite passing offense. But I don't know if Van Jefferson died or
I would say
what happened. But
fourth, yeah, I don't know if Van Jefferson died.
Yeah, he's probably the fourth.
I would put Cam Akers ahead of him.
He might. Who knows? Hopefully.
You got Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, Van Jefferson, Cam Akers,
and if they sign Odell in like week 10,
and then Higbee.
Second half of the season.
I'll say this. Higbee provides, like week 1, this is not an option for you. Like if you are starting Tyler Higbee, it means you drafted Tyler Higbee in the 15th
or you're in
round.
you could be in a 16-man league or something like that.
Yeah, like if you have to start Higbee this week, then it's because you're in a 16-team league or you just
32-man league.
Yeah, 32-man. But I think, as the season goes along, there will be weeks with Tyler Higbee where he will be worth a start. Because he provides excuse me.
Bless you.
Oh, again.
Bless you again.
What the heck, bro?
Tyler Higbee heard you were talking smack, and now he's talking smack.
But no, so Tyler Higbee, there will be weeks this year where he does provide upside because, if he faces a good matchup for tight ends, he is a good red zone opportunity. Because of the play action, there are going to be plays where Higbee is involved in getting the pass catching work. So he's not completely worthless in fantasy football, but for week 1 where we just don't know what the landscape is for the tight end position, you definitely shouldn't be starting a guy that wasn't in the top 12 or even the top 15.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Finally, before we leave the show, what's your prediction? Who wins this football game?
You're going to hate this. I got Bills upsetting the Rams.
Yeah, I'm going to say the Los Angeles Rams are going to win.
I think you're probably right, but it's just one of those feelings. It's a feeling pick.
It's a feeling pick?
Yeah. I'm not betting on this game because it could go either way.
Rams by 10.
Oh, okay. I got Bills game-winning field goal.
There you go. All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow with our starts and sits, guys. See you later.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.